Businesses and individuals are being hit with coronavirus related spam. Lance Whitney here with me for Tech Republic to talk about this. Obviously, Lance, really sad, and upsetting that this is during a time like this, that things like this are going to happen. But of course, bad things happen, unfortunately, when we're all vulnerable like we are right now. Talk a little bit about this new study, what they're saying from it, and then we'll talk about what people can do to best protect themselves.
Sure, Karen. So one of the many bad side effects of the coronavirus is that cyber criminals have been exploiting it to try to infect more people with malware. And one common way of doing that is by sending out phishing emails to try to trap people into downloading malicious file attachments or clicking on malicious links. And one way the criminals try to give legitimacy to these phishing emails is by spoofing well-known organizations. Specifically in this study that IBM X-Force did, they did a survey of both consumers and small businesses. And what they found out is that since many of these phishing emails will spoof the IRS as far as stimulus payment information, or they will spoof the World Health Organization as far as information and health on the virus. What the survey found is that a surprising or alarming number of people would actually deal with one of these phishing emails rather than just deleting it. They admitted that they would download the file attachment or would click on the malicious link. And one of the reasons I certainly found it a little surprising that these organizations continually say that they will not communicate with people by email. The IRS will never send an email to someone concerning a tax refund or stimulus payment or something like that. And likewise, organizations like the World Health Organization have specifically said that they will not communicate with people via email as far as information or help for the coronavirus. So I personally found these results a little bit surprising.
Yeah, and Lance, when people are, concerned about, let's say they're waiting on information from the Small Business Administration or about, the loans that they're trying to get right now. So we're grasping for information, want to know what's next. And when things look legitimate, it's hard, I think, for some people to really know what they should and shouldn't click on. So what are some of the best recommendations that you have to pass on that people need to follow to stay safe?
Sure. When you put it that way, it can be understandable that people who are concerned or anxious about the virus and about stimulus payments and about loans and about all these repercussions due to the outbreak are so anxious to get information that they will click on emails and file attachments without thinking about it. So some of the recommendations that IBM X-Force came out with is one really good one is to use trusted sources. And by that, they mean instead of clicking on a file attachment or a link in an email that you receive that purportedly comes from the IRS or some other organization, go directly to the website. So don't go through the email, go through the organization's actual website. Sign into your account if you have an account there, or at least just check out the organization's rules and recommendations and advice as far as how to deal with these types of emails. So always avoid going through the email directly. Another obvious piece of advice is don't click on file attachments or links in an email, even if they look legitimate, even if the email looks legitimate, because that's always a sure sign of trouble and a way to get infected with malware. In particular during this time, another piece of advice obviously is always be on the lookout for coronavirus related scams and phishing emails, because that's what the cyber criminals are taking advantage of at this point. So you have to really be on a high alert and be very skeptical and dubious of any types of emails that you receive that have this as a subject. Another piece of advice, as I said before, is to keep in mind that the IRS and some of these other organizations will never contact you by email. So if you do receive a message from them, that's 99.9% of the case, it's going to be some type of malicious or scam message. Another piece of advice IBM had, which is a good one, is to look at the email for what they call fraud speak. And what that means is that many of these messages will be written in a kind of awkward or stilted way. Much of the time, cyber criminals will use these templates and boilerplate messages to spread their malware. And there's often something about the email that just doesn't sound right. Maybe it has some typos or spelling errors. Maybe it's written in a broken English. In some cases, these messages will use British English, for example. So these are all tip-offs to give you a clue that something's not right here. Another piece of advice is always make sure that your software and your applications are fully patched and secure so that they're up to date. And then the final piece of advice IBM had, another good one, is to always use multi-factor authentication whenever and wherever you can on your accounts, so that even if someone gets access to your account credentials, they can't log into your account without knowing the authentication code. So that's always a good way to protect yourself with an extra layer of security.
All right, we've got to stay on our toes, no doubt here, Lance. And of course, we have much more on Tech Republic on how during this time you can keep yourself safe, as coronavirus-related spam is certainly out there and making its way into a lot of our inboxes. Lance, we appreciate your help on this so much, and all of your articles I know up there on Tech Republic. We hope you all will check them out. Thanks for watching.